rotate, but I forgot. Joy, is it a 2-year seat for village board or longer than that?
Yeah, 2 years.
Yeah, but they're on kind of rotating cycles, so not everybody's, up for reelection all the same year. Yep, so we'll have a new village board president, new village administrator later this spring, so lots of changes coming our way.
Same old boring public works director, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, just not going anywhere.
Those positions, you don't leave those positions, usually ushered out the door,
Like a Supreme Court justice, right? It's until death.
They had something between
Whatever happens first.
Yes, it's popes, Supreme Court justices, and public works directors.
Yeah.
3 people that
Same rules apply.
terms for life. Yes.
You got to start wearing a black robe and a powdered wig, John.
I think Jeannie just came in, so she's like, "What is going on?"
Oh no, sadly I find this normal.
I'm sure you can catch on very quickly.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Elise and Joy, when we get to the talking about the April meeting, about moving it, I thought of 2 questions to ask both of you when we get to that point. So, and Joy, I'm not going to chat with you tonight. I'm going to ask you the question.
Oh, all right, Mike. I'll try to stay awake then.
For me, this is edge of the chair stuff. What do they say? You pay for your whole seat, but you only use the edge.
You're really building up this meeting, Mike.
Someday.
Can't wait. All right, see, our fearless leader just joined us. See if his audio is working today.
Is it?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Can't hear you, Greg. Sorry.
I can be replaced.
Pity Greg's charter guy.
Oh, it's Spectrum, right? Yeah.
Or Spectrum, sorry.
Yeah, that's not a job I want to have.
I have not talked to them. I'm going to wait for us to again get interrupted this evening so John can take over, and then I'm going to be. The trouble is, when I finally get a hold of somebody from there, let's see. The last person I talked to from Spectrum was in the Philippines.
So local.
I lost you already. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Oh.
What's amazing though is they can fix things from that. I mean, that they can actually repair and do things and fix things and test things from halfway around the world.
Did you know that they actually teach like telephone receptionists and folks that work on, tech support? They actually teach them Midwestern accents because it's been proven to be the most trustworthy and easy to understand of all American accents.
Oh yeah, sure.
So,
You betcha.
Yeah.
That depends on what part of the Midwest you're talking about.
Right. I think I heard Wisconsin, Minnesota, they actually, if you're looking to live in the Philippines, you can have a job as a English.
They all talk like they're on Fargo, right? To show Fargo.
Yeah, hey.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Greg, I have 6:30, so whenever you want to get started. Oh, I think we lost him, I see.
We're going to put him into chipper.
There he is. He's coming back.
Head
20
first.
seconds. 20 seconds. Fast meeting.
All
I
right,
lost you
that's
guys again.
I know.
all. Oh.
Oh.
All right, let's see how this goes, Greg. Should we go ahead and get started before anything else happens?
I think he's frozen.
He's
What's
frozen.
happened to me? Yep. He's frozen. Yep.
Yeah.
That didn't
You
take-
really for tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
Well, do you want me to get started until he gets going? At least it's just roll call.
Yeah, that's fine. And Greg, if you can still hear us, you can also try turning off your camera. Sometimes that reduces the amount of work that your internet has to do. So I'll let you back in if you leave us. So, all right, John, why don't you go ahead and
All right.
get us started?
Seeing as how 6:30 has come and passed, we will call the meeting to order. Could I get a roll call, please?
Carpenter,
Here.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Carpenter is here.
thank you. We're on roll call.
I know it's 6:30. Just let me grab another computer just in case it's the laptop, okay? Hold on. Jeez.
He's here.
Meyer,
Here.
Mar,
Here.
Molzon,
Here.
Smithback,
Here.
Severson,
Here.
and Vano.
Here.
Thank you.
Nelly's still here yet.
Schnelly,
What? Golly. I was harried enough the way it was. I was just outside for the last hour blowing snow.
So we're on item 3, Greg. Do you want me to keep going until you're set?
You are? All right. I'll tell you what, John, why don't you go ahead and run it? Okay,
Until you're ready, I'll do that.
all right.
Okay, item 3, approval of the Plan Commission minutes. Item A is the meeting minutes from October 1st of 2020. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved, Molzon.
And a second?
Second.
Second on Mar. Motion by Molzon. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to the January 14th meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved, Mar.
And a second?
Second, Sabretson.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving, say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item 4, community input. This is the opportunity for anybody to speak with the Plan Commission on an item that is not listed on the agenda. Is there anybody in the audience? If so, please either raise your hand or contact Elise so that we could hear from you.
Just to clarify, so you're saying if there's something not on the agenda that we want to speak about, is
Correct.
to raise my voice? Okay, well, I showed up because of the letter that was mailed out with the Tarkenton property and the
GDP for that.
Okay, so Andy,
Yeah.
that's an item that's on the agenda.
Yeah. Okay.
So when that item comes up, then you'll have an opportunity to speak.
Oh, sure. Okay. Elise made it seem like it got moved, but
Yeah, I think Andy got a letter for the GDP for the plan development, and that's one thing that got postponed. So I don't know if you would like to have any comments now. Otherwise, okay.
All righty, Elise, is anybody else out there that you know?
I don't see anybody raising their hand. I don't have anything in the chat box, so I think we're good.
All right, so we'll move on then. Item number 5 is public appearances. Item A is discussion and possible recommendation of the village board regarding annexation of 55264 County Road CC, the Tarkenton parcel, from the town of Oregon to the village of Oregon, and temporary zoning of RH 35. Elise, you want to get us going on this a little bit, please?
Sure, and just to clarify for anybody that didn't see the amended agenda, just since these are all tied together, the applicant did request that items B and C, so the preliminary plat and then the GDP for the same piece of property, to be postponed. They have several comments from planning, village engineer, other village staff, and some from planning commission that we've received, and they determined that it would be best to sort of take those back a little bit and revise. And so we'll see those at a future planning commission meeting, but we determined it was all right to go ahead with the annexation. And with the state, the planning commission is really a recommending body to the village board. So we still need to work on an annexation agreement and make sure that Forward Development Group is in agreement with that. So we don't know exactly when that will come to the village board, but at this point, the planning commission is welcome. We can discuss the annexation, but this is the Tarkinen parcel, sort of that missing piece of the Highlands of Netherwood parcel just west of Beehive. We would be assigning temporary zoning of RH35, which is the current county of rural holding zoning out there. This is already in the urban service area. So once the annexation is approved by the village board, this property will be in the village and, you know, able to be incorporated with village services and all of that. I think I kind of covered the remaining bit of that, but just to let you know that things like stormwater approvals, you know, road layout, all of that will be taken care of and address those comments and questions in the preliminary plat process and the GDP. So we've checked with all of our experts, our team, and everyone feels comfortable moving forward with annexation, even though we don't have those other reviews and approvals in place yet. We do know that they're coming and we've seen the direction that they're heading. But just to clarify, so we're at Randolph County, TC. This is where Peterson Trail will be.
I was hungry.
And the property is right over there. So yeah, we're just focused on annexation tonight for the discussion. And I know we have some representatives. I see Connor Kearney from Forward Development Group on as well, so I'm sure he's happy to answer any questions.
Yep. Thanks, Elise.
Okay, so the short answer, the short information is that we are going to look for a recommendation to the village board from the Plan Commission on the annexation, and it will not hold them up regarding any of the other concerns and comments that they have heard from all of the other organizations and groups.
Correct. Those comments will be incorporated into the sort of next revision of the preliminary plat and the GDP at a future Planning Commission meeting date, probably March or April.
Okay. Connor, do you have anything that you'd like to add to the item A, the annexation portion?
I think Elise summarized it perfectly. That, you know, we're working through a number of comments on the other items, but one thing, you know, remains that the missing piece, if you will, the Tarkington parcel, it's envisioned to be part of the development. So, you know, we feel that it's in the project's best interest to keep this moving forward and on track. And as Elise said, you know, moving towards that board date. But we are excited about the potential for this portion of the development. And I'll be available to answer any questions from the members tonight.
Okay. We've seen this before. Does anybody on the Plan Commission have any questions or comments about the annexation portion? All right, seeing none, then I would entertain a motion to approve the recommendation to the village board for the annexation of this property into the village.
I'll make that motion. Molzon.
Patrick has the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second is from Greg. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
You've got me on two computer screens here.
Yeah, you have to turn one of your microphones off, I think.
I got it. I thought I muted the one.
Okay, so as Elise mentioned, the agenda has been modified, so the detailed information will be taken up at a later meeting date. So items 5B and 5C can be just taken out and held on to, or will you bring it back in a separate? I'm assuming we'll get more information, updated information, Elise?
We will, so there'll be updated exhibits. We will still have the public hearing, and so there'll be a reposting of that public hearing notice and neighbor letters going out when we determine which upcoming meeting date they'll be at.
Okay.
Within the next couple months projected.
Yep, I think they're probably shooting for the March 4th Planning Commission meeting date, but we'll know that for sure the next week or two. Otherwise, it'll be April 8th, I believe.
Okay.
So we'll be in touch, and we'll do the same process with neighbor letters for the date that they will be on the next meeting.
Okay. Can I jump in and just ask? What's
I
that?
apologize for not having you speak.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Much of an opportunity. It's not a public hearing, but yeah, just stay in touch with Elise and she'll keep you posted on what's going on.
Yeah, no, I don't really have any major objection. I'm just want to be kind of in the loop of what's going on. Can I ask Connor a really quick question?
Is he on or is he calling?
Yeah, yep, I'm available for, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, we do have a contact. Who would be the best contact to talk about the plans that you're going to bring? I think our biggest concern were Beehive, which is a neighboring lot to the stormwater plan, is that tree line that sits on the border, and trying to get all of that cleaned up. And who would you suggest that we would get a hold of to maybe work that out, and maybe that's something that you can bring or we can bring as part of that plan in the month to come?
Yeah, Andy, I think what might be best is if you have maybe a couple specific concerns or questions, if you want to be in touch either with Jeff or myself,
okay.
We'll make sure that we're keeping those in mind as we're reviewing, and if we do need to bring you in just to take a look at what we receive from Forward Development Group, just so you feel comfortable with that, we can work through that. But it'd probably be best if you work through village staff, just so we can stay in the loop as well.
Sure.
Yeah, and if there are any issues or stuff that staff wants to relay, I'll definitely be available if Jeff or Elise wanted to reach out. So
great.
Very
Thanks,
good.
everybody.
Thanks.
Yeah, give me a call, Andy, if you have any questions.
Okay, very good. Thanks, guys.
All right, moving on to item 5D, discussion with Fiduciary Real Estate regarding conceptual discussion of extending the Bergamot Townhome development to parcels along Highway CC and Bergamot Boulevard. Is there somebody here that would like to speak on that item? Or Elise, do you want to give us a, sorry.
Yeah, I'll do a short summary, and then we have Craig Raditz from Fiduciary joining us as well. And I know he has a couple of slides that he sent me, and I will sort of scroll through and let him talk through a little bit. But just to summarize my staff memo a little bit, I know this has been brought forward a number of times, sort of finishing or adding on to the Bergamot Townhome development before, and believe it was maybe 2018 that this was last in front of the Planning Commission. And Mike thought that this would be we could bring this back and just have another discussion. The world has changed a little bit since 2018, and to see if there's any different thoughts or ideas about what this site could become, and if this is an appropriate use to consider. So, and right now these are zoned as planned business, so sort of the highway commercial type use. They've been sitting there for quite a while and without development. I think things I wanted to point out is just to sort of step back and take a look at, we've had this conversation in other parts of the village where we've had commercially zoned land or commercial units that have requested a conversion to residential. And we always have that conversation about wanting to preserve what commercial space we do have. Of course, wanting to make sure that there's been an effort to, sell or lease that commercial space, and that the developer has done their due diligence to try to make every effort to develop that commercial land. But I think it's also important to realize we do have a lot of vacant commercial, either developed sites and buildings or undeveloped sites that we're actively trying to work on filling and directing a lot of time and effort to try to find a user that makes sense for these different spaces. So that includes the Tacey building on Netherwood. We have the Dan Bertler site on the Old Waterfall Motel, the State Bank of Cross Plains building that's for sale next to Walgreens, Lakestone's GDP that you all approved in the fall, and the SIP that had that commercial space that is sort of a holding space for future commercial. So we would of course like to see that filled. And then also lots 58 and 59 over on Oregon Parks right behind Mulligan's and the new daycare. We just rezone those to central business. Those are not on highway CC. So those are commercial parcels that don't even have highway frontage that we've identified as wanting to have commercial development there. So I think it's important just to understand how much commercial we do have available as in sort of kind of our holding tank, as well as sort of putting in context some of the other multifamily and two-family development we've had in this area. Back in the fall, you all decided to change the comp plan for some of these Oregon Parks parcels near Beehive to be duplexes. So that was a conversion of commercial to residential. And then also with the highway CC lots for Highlands of Netherwood, both the lot 41 parcels and then the Tarkenton parcel. I know we had conceptual discussion with them in January, and so we got to see it's sort of a multi-family plan, and those are, you know, parcels that are right on CC, essentially kitty corner from the lots here at Bergamot and CC that fiduciary is looking to develop. So just trying to provide a little bit of context so we can use that in our discussion as we try to determine what, and you all try to determine if that's an appropriate use for this area. So I'll hand it over to Craig and happy to go through his slides.
All right, thank you, Elise. Hello, everybody. It's great to, it's been, as Elise said, 2018, the last time you've seen my face in front of you. And with that time span, Elise, I provided the package to walk through here. And again, it's great because obviously the longevity of many of you on the Plan Commission, I think maybe Commissioner Severson is the only one I haven't been in front of, but good to be back. And I do this first slide in particular, and I'll just spend a second here since we've all lived it, at least us with Oregon since January of 2008. But we use this on a day-to-day basis, and you know, it's really a helpful map as to what's occurred, what's available, what's coming. And obviously we're here tonight to look at the two little over 2 acres that's up on Jefferson. But I just thought I'd share the rest of kind of what's just quickly going on is, you know, the last couple of years, we've just been in for plat. Our engineer has, you know, been into meetings for plat approval. We've done phase 5A and 5B, which Elise, if you look down along, yeah, right in that area where there's the red, majority of the red, little bit higher than that, just right up there. So that's the phase we put in a year ago, and you can see there's been substantial sales through that. And so we're well on our way to the green section, which is 5C. And 5C, you know, I've always looked forward to this last section of Bergamot because, you know, they're all just really nice half-acre lots approximately. And you know, there's no corner lots and pie shapes and everything all under the sun. And so it's going to be, it's been 5B was really well received, 5C, 33 lots. And then lastly in the purple is pretty much, other than up against Lincoln, the lot 505 there in Brown. That's really the last developable piece, and obviously along the 18th fairway. And then the expansion of Legend Hills is right where Elise has the cursor. So it's been a long haul. We accomplished a lot, and we're looking probably to have everything hopefully done here in about 3 years and complete the Bergamot community. So the subject parcels at the top, I think almost everyone's familiar with. That's when we were in 2018, and at that time we came and just said, could we expand per our original plans for the Bergamot townhomes? If you go to the next slide, Elise, the plan, it's I didn't have much to do to prepare for this meeting because this, other than change the senior living duplexes, which at the time were just getting going, I believe. But ultimately, this is the existing Bergamot townhomes. Just for recollection, to the bottom of the page, there are 7 2-family residences that back up against the condos behind them. And then there are 13 4-residence buildings for a total of 66 on about 10 acres of land. And I guess, you know, one of the greatest things, it was, we all know that was all originally planned for commercial. It was a 1.5 year long process. We finished in early 2017 with those 66. And I know a lot of you, I've heard compliments from a couple of you, and I appreciate that. Residences, many of the residents we know in Bergamot have let it be known that they feel that, you know, it turned out much better than their fears had in mind. And it has been extremely successful. I mean, literally, we have waiting lists almost every month. There's rarely that something is, you go on our website, that something's available. So it's the last 2 parcels, and we were asked by the Plan Commission, and again, there's been a few things, obviously Beehive has come and now Tarkenton and so forth. Over those 3 years, just a little history, and I don't think I really in-depth shared this in 2018, but we started in 2010 with our marketing of these 2 parcels, or all the parcels, excuse me. And then when I think it was approximately 2014, when these 2 parcels were split off and kept as commercial, Pinnacle Real Estate, Pat McCarthy, and I know he's a very a prominent broker in all of Madison and Dane County. They've marketed in one way or another by the signage on the site, in MLS, on Commercial Drive, which is the Property Drive, which is the commercial MLS. So we have had that since 2010 in one way, shape, or form in Pat's control to market. And he's very candidly, every other year is the re-sign for MLS. And I think we've had about exactly the same number of inquiries as times I've renewed his contract. So over those years, I think in 2012, we had a dental group that was interested for about a 2-week period, several conversations. And other than that, I've never progressed with anyone through Pat and his efforts in order to market these pieces. So with that, this is obviously just getting your feedback. This would not be something we're trying to do yet this year. It's just the continual progress. You know, Bergamot is almost 500 acres and 100% residential. We certainly, the way we built the existing townhomes worked well in order to, because it was the original site plan, in order to add these 20 residences. And so specifically, excuse me, specifically as we have waited the last 3 years and been watching what's happened around us, we would, if with your conceptual here, if there's your support to move forward, we're looking at this would probably be a 2022 build. I think, as most of you know, we have our own construction department and in the Madison area that could accomplish that in 2022. So the next slide, if you haven't been inside, again, I know everyone's been past, but just a couple of pictures here of the exteriors, the private entries, attached garages. I mean, people just have loved living here, and there's a lot of people who are coming into the community, leaving the community, building new homes, temporary, and then we've had probably about 30% that have stayed for 3 years or longer, and that's a pretty high percentage in the rental side of the business. And then the last, maybe most of you haven't been inside, but just wanted to share the quality that's inside the units. These are all custom cabinets, stainless steel, quartz or granite countertops, plank flooring, fireplaces. I mean, they're really fantastic units, renting out about starting at about $1,550 a month. And as I mentioned, it's been 100% full. So that's why we just wanted to come back in front of you and, you know, in our efforts to put the whole closure of all the pieces of land in Bergamot and finish off the great community that it is.
Thank you, Craig. Is there any questions from the Plan Commission members then? Nobody has any comments on changing this from commercial to residential?
I'm surprised.
I guess I am too.
Call
Well,
from
I'm
spam
sorry.
risk.
Ah,
Call from spam.
there.
Okay.
Sorry.
No. Well, I guess, Craig, thank you for that. The development that you've come up with has been a great success. I think that you did a nice job of working really hard with everybody. I know that it was a struggle at times, but I think that it's a project that you're obviously proud of and should be. And I take a look at these properties and, you know, there has been a sign up there. And we have asked you and you have held it for 10 years. You know, I still would like to hold out for some hope and chance of having commercial, but I understand that you probably haven't had that level of success in finding anybody. I also, though, haven't gone out to Property Drive and seen how hard it was marketed. But I do know that the sign has been up that entire time. But I guess if the consensus of the Plan Commission is that this is an acceptable change, which it seems by the silence, that's kind of what we're saying. You know, I think that you've done about all that you can do for this. Does anybody else have anything else?
John, I would just add something that I think that Fiduciary has done exactly what we asked them to. I think when the last time they were here, we asked them to wait a year and then come back, and they actually waited almost 3. So I just want to commend Craig and Fiduciary for you know, following up with the Planning Commission, respecting our decisions and our opinions. And I would be in favor now of moving forward to have it be developed as residential. It would be nice to have those lots get on the tax rolls and start creating a little bit of revenue for the village. Those are my thoughts.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Just curious about the crossing Jefferson or crossing CC. It's kind of seems increasingly busy and cars are moving at a pretty good clip out on that west end. I don't know if is there like one of those little stop lights or little pedestrian lights that might be in discussion to tie those two neighborhoods together, or even
that'll come down the line, Andy.
Yeah.
This is just big level stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I do
throwing it
know
out there.
Jeff can speak to this. There is some improvements planned, at least for crosswalks at that intersection later this year, and probably, you know, can definitely change in the future as needed.
Yeah, we've budgeted for the first step, Andy, which is just creating an actual ramp and crosswalk from the sidewalks to and painted crosswalk. We'll always be looking at whether we need to add flashing beacons or anything like that. But
okay,
good point.
Or a bike bridge.
Yeah. Okay,
come on, Oregon.
You donate $10 million, we'll put it in.
Hey, I'm here. I got to ask while I'm here. So
exactly.
Thanks.
All right. Well, Craig, it seems like anybody else have any other comments?
Just to add, I'm sure you all know this, but this would require a comprehensive plan amendment as well as a rezoning of the parcels. So
It's almost like everybody else's computer crapped out like mine did or something. There's no comments from anybody in the Plan Commission, but okay.
Correct.
I would put in my 2 cents worth there. I'm really torn on this. We've stood by our original desire to have commercial in that site, and of course we started out with even more than that, and we've given up on that. And the development on the north side of CC at the junction of Bergamot and the development where Beehive is and Omni, that's starting to take shape, and I don't know that we were at a point along the way whether we thought we were doing the right thing with that, because it wasn't moving either. And the other thing that I'm wondering, how the property directly to the east of these two properties that is on CC, the old farmstead there, yes. How can we work that in to this, to these properties in question, if there's any chance that there would be, if those would be commercial, that they could be tied in and make a bigger space there with sticking with our idea of wanting to have commercial in there. There's actually opportunity possibly to add more to it, and maybe that, I don't know if that makes it better, or does that make it harder yet to move. It seems to me like we have a lot of things that are going on along there, and the bank property and all that has been mentioned is available for commercial development. The longer we wait, the more seems to happen, and it just hasn't happened yet on these two properties. And when we was on the far out end of our village limits, or an outside of the village limits at one time, and eventually it's working its way into the mix, and I guess it's kind of it's hard to envision what could happen here without being able to see into the future real accurately, and we can't do that. I still hold that I'd like to see this maintained, and as a commercial potential for commercial, and see how we can move it along. We've got the next move as far as commercial properties that are available that may be needed 15, 25 years from now, maybe are right here, and that's in these lots or beyond on CC. So it's been a tough one, and I recognize the developer's done a lot of hard work and a lot of waiting on making this a good development out on the Bergamot West Side.
It's a good point, Larry, that it would be nice to have some commercial, but we did have, to Jeannie's point, we did ask him for a certain amount of time. And while I would stand in your court and agree that I'd love to be more patient and see if more commercial couldn't happen out here as things develop, they've done what we've asked them to do.
And there's no evidence of any thought about that property to the east of them wanting to sell it or do something with it. So
right, that's still in the town, and as far as I know, we have not heard from those property owners as far as interested in annexing into the village.
So I guess if nobody else has any other comments, Craig, it looks like you've got yourself the beginnings of a project. Yep. So we would look forward to hearing you go through the process and see you again.
Well, I appreciate it, everyone, and looking forward to it, and we'll start getting things going. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.
Item number 8, communications and miscellaneous business. Next meeting will be March 4th via Zoom. And we're going to change the date because people don't want to work right after an election. So
Actually, John, can I ask Elise and Joy a couple
sorry.
of questions? Sorry. No, you had it. That's a good shot you gave. That's fine.
More about working before the election to get the package.
Elections are hard work.
Thank you, Joy. I always say that. I always say that on your behalf. No, Elise, I thought of something when I was looking at the calendar before the meeting, that April 8th meeting could be a CARPC meeting that we all have to attend. Not the Plan Commission, but staff and Mike Slavny.
Right.
So Joy, John, can I ask Joy a question? I'm going to be taking it.
yeah, go right ahead.
Joy, would you prefer to have the meeting on the 1st or the 15th? The Thursday before the election or after the election?
15th would be much better.
Okay. I thought you'd say that, yeah. Would that be okay with the commission?
So April 15th?
Yeah.
April 15th, that's like tax day.
Yeah. Because John, like I said, I think some of us will maybe at a CARPC meeting on the 8th.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
And I was just kidding about the election.
Oh, I wasn't.
So, is it okay with the Plan Commission that we have the joy of tax day and then the joy of Plan Commission the next?
That's great.
I mean,
Get plenty of time to do your taxes between now and then.
All right.
it'll be a tax distraction.
This, again, this year I have to pay taxes. And last year I did, next year I won't. So maybe this year.
All right, so I'll update that on the next agenda and let applicants know.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you
It's all for you, Joy.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, item 7, unfinished business, Autumn Ridge Phase 2 and 3. Public hearing at CARPC has been postponed.
So
Joy,
speaking of CARPC,
I'm sorry?
I said speaking of CARPC, probably
Yeah.
was what Mike was referring to. So we brought the Autumn Ridge sort of conceptual layout to you all a couple of times. I think in January you all approved a resolution to move forward with the urban service area amendment.
Yeah.
We had a really productive conversation with the Town of Oregon Planning Commission and quite a few community members back in late January, and just determined that the applicant, the developer, needed to spend some more time, especially on stormwater plans and also addressing some traffic concerns. So we determined it was best to hold off on the USAA hearing at CARPC, which was originally scheduled for February 11th, and that's postponed to a later date, likely later this spring, and we will certainly let you know when that's coming up.
Okay, thank you. So then, with that being said, the next thing would be new business, which there's none because we're so efficient. Staff reports, status of developments and projects. Anything you want to fill us in on?
Nothing really major new. I mean, it's middle of winter, so, but like, Craig said, they're working on bringing in 5C this next year. So we hope to be able to see work on that. And, Highlands of Netherwood is still working on some things that'll be coming back before you here in the next month. And so, yeah, we still see a pretty busy construction season ahead.
Perfect. Also in your packets are the planning staff meeting information from the 13th and 27th of January. It's more of an FYI kind of thing, unless somebody's got questions on it.
I have one question. Elise, it talks about a North Main neighborhood plan.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me what that encompasses?
So that was probably an item we didn't quite get to yet, but sort of with the planning for the new library site going on North Main Street, it's been in the plans for a long time to take a look at Market Street and North Main and sort of, that's our old railroad industrial corridor right next to a neighborhood, especially on the, Market Street side, south of Netherwood, and just taking a look at all of that together. We think are going to hold off on that just a little bit until we know for sure how the library is going to be laid out and just some of the plans for that. But I think we will probably encompass, we're hoping that the library site on North Main Street really spurs some redevelopment on the Market Street corridor. And before that happens, trying to get ahead of that a little bit and to have a conversation with you all about what do we want that area to look like. So we're still kind of trying to draw some parameters around that, but we'll bring that forward for discussion, hopefully in the next couple of months.
Nice. That's good to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, we're excited about that.
We're taking down most of the homes on North Main, Patrick.
Yeah, yeah.
Hope you don't mind.
That's good. We'll get that high eminent domain value, right?
My God, Jeff, do not even joke about that. Now I'm gonna
Joke.
get emails. I'm gonna get
That's a
emails now, Jeff.
All right. Item 10 is just items for future meeting, carrying over things. Anything I need to touch on, Elise, or can we keep going?
No, I think those were all things you all have seen before. So
Right, item
whenever
11.
we have a shorter meeting, whenever that is, we'll try to get to some of these things.
All right. Item 11 is adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn? I'll move it. Anybody
I'll second.
Second by Molzon. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, everybody. See you next month.
Nice job.
Thanks for having me. See you guys.
Thanks, Dan.